With all this criminal activity, now a lot of people say, well, nothing's going to ever happen to Joe. Nothing's going to come out. Nothing's going to change. Demons protect demons. You say that all the time, Will Johnson, which I do, which, in fact, nothing might not happen. But it's still a matter of time. If Joe Biden doesn't get what is due to him in this life, it will happen in the next. Now, I'm not wishing for him to go to some fiery furnace. I'm not wishing that for anybody. But everyone, we have to recognize that we'll be held accountable for everything that we do. We're going to be held accountable. Just because they're able to get away with it here doesn't mean they'll be able to get away with it later on. It's only a matter of time. Listen to this because Jesse Waters breaks it down. Because Joe Biden and all of them with this corruption, they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar is the way Jesse Waters is explaining it. Listen to this.
Think back to when you were a kid. Your parents catch you with your hand stuck in the cookie jar. Your first instinct, blame your sister. Or play dumb. What cookie? Despite the cookie crumbs littered across your lips, children will lie to survive. But deflection doesn't always go away with age. Look at our president, a walking, talking cookie crumb. For each crumb, there's a laptop, an email, a photo, a whistleblower, an LLC. Joe Biden's been shoveling Chinese fortune cookies down his throat his whole career. Like a kid, he thinks the cookies are in his tummy and we won't find them.
Where's the money? I'm joking.
Mr. President,
it's a bunch of malarkey.
Biden's so used to being protected that he thinks you need to find gold bars in his closet to get in trouble. As long as they don't find cash sewn into my windbreaker, I'm fine. Well, following the money is hard work, man.
Retrieving old bank records, that's really hard to do, man. Or looking up your balance for your loan, on your loan. That's a killer, man. That costs so much money for those banks.
The president thought he was going to be able to run out the clock on having to turn over bank records. The president thought, records of your bank files are stored in cabinets and warehouses, and it would take years to send a bunch of bankers to dig through boxes of bank records and Xerox them and turn them over. It's actually electronic. You just type in an account number and you hit print, and it doesn't take a lot of money to do it. You'd be surprised how much money banks have, Joe. It's why they're banks. It's where we keep the money. And James Comer is finally getting his hands on Biden family bank records. So far, the left says there's no evidence incriminating Joe Biden.
They're not putting forward any evidence that Joe Biden received any of this money.
Republicans have not tied the president, Joe Biden, to profiteering from them.
There is no evidence that Joe Biden directly benefited from anything that Hunter Biden was doing.
The majority sits completely empty-handed with no evidence of any presidential wrongdoing, no smoking gun. No.
Let me stop it real quick. Every last one of them, even on all the government state media talk shows, kept saying there's no smoking gun, there's no direct evidence of Joe Biden doing any criminal activity, no direct evidence of Joe Biden receiving money. And then all of a sudden, when there's actual evidence of Joe Biden receiving thousands and thousands of dollars, it's just a loan.
We've established that a smoking gun is dirty money coming from overseas into Biden's bank account. Well, look what we have here. That's a check made out to Joe Biden for $40,000. His brother's wife wrote him the check. But where'd the money come from? James Comer found out.
$40,000 in laundered China money landed in Joe Biden's bank account in the form of a personal check.
China wired Hunter's company $5 million. Hunter's company wired Hunter $400,000. Hunter's company wired Biden's brother money, and then Biden's brother's wife wrote Joe a check for $40,000. Well, wait a second. What's 10% of 400,000? That's $40,000. That's 10% for the big guy. So money hit Joe Biden's bank account from China, and it added up to 10% for the big guy. I wonder if the Democrats will change what a smoking gun means. This happened on the 5 on Monday. What happens if the next check originates somewhere really bad, Jessica, and I mean really bad, and it goes through Hunter or it goes through James and it goes directly into Joe Biden's checking account. Is that a smoking gun?
Okay. So two things.
Yes or no?
No.
Yes or no?
It's
no,
not.
it's not. It's not. I was promised a smoking gun, and
let me stop it real quick, because it's like this with all the Democrats. Just yes or no. So she doesn't want to say no. She want to deflect, and she want to make it look like, oh, it's not the same thing. It's not a smoking gun. This was just a loan.
if I deliver a smoking gun, you have to admit that gun is smoking. So the new excuse is it's okay to bribe politicians' family members, and now it's okay to bribe politicians themselves. And it's okay for politicians' family members to shake down our enemies for bribes. Hunter was texting these Chinese guys, you better pay me the money. My dad's sitting right next to me, and he's going to be angry. And then the Chinese texted back, yeah, we want to do business with your fam. They sent him the money, and the money got to the big guy. And the Bidens got this money for favors Joe Biden did for China while he was VP. He greased approvals for the Chinese to buy American car companies. He hosted the Chinese at the White House. He wrote letters of recommendation to Ivy League schools for them. No administration was softer on China than Obama Biden. None. And after he left office, the Bidens worked on natural gas deals for the Chinese, helped them take over African mines. The Chinese were paying them in diamonds. And then the Chinese said, Hunter, you need to help Uncle Joe run for president. And then China helps Joe get elected president. And Joe shuts down the China task force, doesn't mention the lab leak, doesn't pop the spy balloon, and is inviting their nuclear scientists over to look into our nuclear facilities. So what's Biden's lawyers say about this now? You ready? They say the check was a loan. So every time Joe gets dirty money directly into his checking account, they're going to say, oh, it's just repaying a loan. They just write loan repayment on the check and think it's going to fool us. Menendez should have just written loan repayment on the gold bars. What an idiot.
100%. What an idiot. Now, I'm looking in the comments, and I'm just kind of curious. Is there anybody on here that believe that with Joe Biden and the Democrats, and I'm saying the Democrats because they're all saying that there's no smoking gun now. It's just a loan. Have you ever known for someone to be on a senator's salary and loan out $200,000? And what's the interest on it? What was the loan for in the first place? Right? What is the loan? Where is that? Can we get something on that? $200,000. Have you ever loaned someone $200,000 and then no interest back from it? Maybe as a family member, you loan $200,000. That's what they're saying. Oh, it was just to another family member we loaned $200,000 to. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. And they all kept saying it. They all kept saying it. There's no smoking gun. There's no smoking gun. There's nothing. There's no wrongdoing of Joe Biden directly. They have Hunter Biden, which happens to be Joe Biden's son, overseas with Joe Biden, doing all these fraudulent deals. But there's no connection with Joe Biden. How stupid can you be? And now they're getting checks. They have 2 checks now. I'm willing to bet that there's more checks that's going to come. There's more checks going to follow. You can't tell me that a check for $200,000 alone, another check for $40,000, another loan. So when another check comes up, that's for another, $60,000, $80,000, $120,000. Maybe there's a check that's sitting out there for $1.4 million. It was just a loan. So when they come up with the next check, because there's probably going to be a next check, are they going to say it's just a loan? I mean, how many times can they say it's just a loan? Well, listen to this one where you have Comer, Jordan, and also you have the new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, on here with Sean Hannity, and they're talking about the Biden crime family.
On one hand, you got the Department of Justice that said parents were terrorists, pro-life Catholics were extremists, and last week we learned they were spying on Capitol Hill staffers here, working on investigating them when they were doing the whole Crossfire Hurricane thing, not to mention the other things you brought up. So, and then on the other hand, you got the same Justice Department that slow walks the Hunter Biden investigation, where David Weiss tells us different stories all the time. The White House can't get their story straight. And then really, I think that the example that tells it best is Burisma, because Joe Biden did all these things that Jamie's focused on the bank records, the suspicious activity reports. Jason and his committee are looking at the whistleblowers who came forward, who, by the way, their story has not wavered. Their testimony has been tested, has been cross-examined, and it has stood up under all that. And then we're looking at the way the Justice Department handled the investigation into Hunter Biden. But Burisma is the best example. Hunter Biden gets put on the board of Burisma, fact number one. Fact number two, he's not qualified to be on the board of Burisma. Fact number three, the head of Burisma ask Hunter Biden, can you help us relieve the pressure we are under from the Ukrainian prosecutor? Fact number four, Joe Biden does just that after Hunter Biden asked him to. He goes to Ukraine and gets the prosecutor fired. That is, I think, the most compact and compelling way you can tell this story, in addition to all the stuff that the whistleblowers have brought forward on the investigation and Jamie's uncovered in his committee.
So he leveraged $1 billion taxpayer dollars. This is, 4 or 5 days after Joe Biden got on a call with Hunter and Burisma executives. They had a problem at the time. The problem was the prosecutor investigating them, Victor Shokin. And then lo and behold, as a consequence, Joe gets the guy fired with our money, and then Hunter continues to get paid.
Leverages our American tax dollars to get it done. They're in Dubai. Devin Archer, who we deposed, tells us they're in Dubai. The head of Burisma asked him, can you weigh in? Can you help us? Hunter immediately calls his dad. 5 days later, his dad, Joe Biden, then vice president, leverages American tax dollars to get the prosecutor fired. That all happened, and we have that from the deposition with Hunter Biden's business partner, Devin Archer.
I mean, right there. The Biden crime family, follow the money, because Joe Biden, they all act like that was nothing out of the ordinary. You notice they never, ever want to talk about that. Have y'all noticed that? They never want to talk about the Biden crime family when it comes to them being in Burisma, when Joe Biden was saying, if you don't fire the prosecutor, you won't get the $1 billion. It was $1 billion. And Joe Biden said, you can't do they told Joe Biden, you can't do that. And Joe Biden said, I can do that. And they said, you're not the president. And he said, call him. He's in agreement with me on this. Literally said in agreement with me on this. Well, listen to this one. Here's another one where they were on with Sean Hannity talking about the Biden crime family.
Let me start. You had huge news today. Mm-hmm. And you actually went out with, I don't know if it was on video. I played it on audio and radio.
Yeah, look, we found another check to Joe Biden. That's what the media said that they felt like this investigation needed to do to be successful. Find a direct link between Joe Biden and his family's influence peddling. We've already proven that he met with all the people that sent his family money. We've proven that Joe Biden's lied countless times to the American people about his knowledge and involvement of his family's shady business dealings. We've proven the family had over 20 shell companies. We've proven they've had all these bank accounts. Now we have enough bank accounts in, Sean, where we can actually trace the money back to the source. So we found the check to Joe Biden. This is the second check in a week. The first one was for $200,000. This one was for $40,000. But what's most alarming about this $40,000 check, it traces directly back to China. It goes all the way back to that WhatsApp message that the Ways and Means Committee.
The WhatsApp message is Hunter saying, I'm sitting here next to my father, and we want to know why you didn't follow through on your commitment, and then threatening, between everybody he knows and my ability to hold a grudge, that there's going to be a shakedown.
That one. 5 days later, they wired $5 million.
5 days later, they wired $5 million. 5 days later. Really? This is like the best money laundering racket ever in American history. And guess what? Again, like I was saying yesterday, this happened under Obama. This happened under Obama's administration, which is the most corrupt, the most scandal administration to ever be in Washington, D.C., Barack Hussein Obama, next to Joe Biden. And this is just a continuance of Barack Hussein Obama's administration. Can I get a show of hands of people who agree? Do y'all think that Obama is in the background running this? You know, he just sit in the basement somewhere and then run the country into someone's earpiece or something like that. And Joe Biden's so stupid he can't even get it right what Barack Hussein Obama's telling him in his ear. We know that's what's happening. We know that's what's happening. Let me say thank you to Andy. Thank you so much for that Rumble rant. Says, thanks for all you do, Will and team. I can't believe what is happening right now. You know what? You and everybody else, we're all the same way. It's like, this is surreal, right? It's surreal that this is actually happening. I mean, this stupid stuff that we're seeing taking place, it shouldn't be happening in the first place. And then what's really interesting is that when you and we talk about this stuff, they try to say that it's fake news, that it's not even real. It's not, you can't talk about that. They want to censor people from talking about the truth, which I talked about that yesterday. They don't want anyone. What happened to our country? What happened to people with sound mind? What happened? Are we literally going to continue down this path? Is that what we can expect for us to continue going down this path this way? I think that's what we're going to see. That's what we're going to see. Let me share this next one with you. This one with Brian Donalds when he's actually talking about it. And remember, Brian Donalds, he is a banker. So he knows the money is funny.
I don't think he's pretending to be duped. I think he's that dumb. When does a member, somebody who's been in the U.S. Senate making $174,000 a year, have $200,000 to lend his brother? I mean, give me a break. This is just absolutely ridiculous. And we all know it to be true. James Biden, he's on these text messages with Hunter Biden about stepping in, quote unquote, because Hunter was in a bad spot. They've all been involved in this. And I think one of the things that makes this significantly worse is that Joe Biden knew that this is what his family was doing. They violated the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Joe Biden was well aware that they were violating that. They were taking money in through the family businesses, which frankly did no business other than give access to Joe Biden. Joe Biden was well aware of that. And now we have a conduit of money going to Joe Biden.
You like the content Will Johnson is producing? To stay informed and up to date with the current events, go ahead and hit the thumbs up and subscribe to see more videos like this one. Also, to find Will Johnson, visit www.uaf.media.